From Franky's hair to Robin's skin tone, One Piece's post-time skip designs were a mixed bag. Some changes felt like natural evolution, others sparked outrage. Today, we'll look into the most controversial redesigns and what they reveal about Oda's shifting artistic vision. Remember how Robin used to have sharper features and deeper tan skin? Post-time skip, she became noticeably paler with rounder eyes and softer facial lines. Some fans thought it was just the anime team's doing, but the manga showed the same shift. Here's the weird part. In an SBS volume, Oda mentioned Robin's design was inspired by Russian women. That might explain the lighter skin, but it doesn't fully account for how much her overall vibe changed. Pre-time skip, Robin carried this aura of mystery. Her sharper angles and darker shading matched her role as the crew's enigmatic archaeologist. Post-time skip, she smiles more, her posture is relaxed, and even her outfits lean into brighter colours. Some argue this reflects her character growth. She's no longer the isolated fugitive from Ohara, but others feel her redesign traded too much of her edge for approachability. What's interesting is how the anime doubled down on the changes. Her skin tone shifts between arcs, sometimes looking almost porcelain. That inconsistency fueled theories about studio interference versus Oda's intent. The truth might be somewhere in the middle. Oda streamlined his art style post-time skip, and Robin's redesign could have been part of that, but it's hard to ignore how her new look aligns with broader trends in the series, especially for female characters. At the end of the day, does it weaken her character? Probably not. Her personality and role in the story stayed strong, but it's undeniable that something distinct about her presence faded when her visual mystery did. And honestly, that's nothing compared to the uproar over Franky's glow-up, because if you think Robin's redesign was polarising, wait until you see what happened to the crew's shipwright. Franky's pre-time skip design was all about balance. A cyborg with a human silhouette, leather jackets, and that iconic pompadour. Post-time skip, he became a literal tank, with shoulders twice as wide, a glowing chest plate, and arms so massive they barely fit on screen. Some fans called it an epic Iron Man-style upgrade. Others argued it crossed into cartoonish territory. The real question is whether this was a natural progression or a step too far. Before, Franky's mechanical parts blended with his human features. Visible seams, practical modifications, and a build that still looked like it could move naturally. After, he leaned full tilt into the super robot aesthetic. Brighter colours, bulkier plating, and proportions that made him tower over the crew. Even his hair switched from a sleek pompadour to a chunky star-shaped mohawk. The redesign also shifted how he functioned in action scenes. Old Franky fought with a mix of brawling and hidden weapons. New Franky, he deploys radical beams, transforms his arms into cannons, and generally operates more like a walking arsenal. That fits his role as the crew's shipwright. Sunny's defences got crazier, so maybe Franky had to keep up. But it's hard to ignore how much his silhouette now clashes with the more human crew members. Does the redesign capture his spirit? In some ways, yes. He's always been extra, but there's a legitimate argument that his pre-time skip balance of humanity and machinery made him feel more unique. Either way, the debate over Franky's look is nothing compared to the firestorm around how female characters were redesigned. Because if you thought cyborg proportions were controversial, wait until you see what happened with Nami. Nami's pre-time skip outfits made sense for a navigator. Functional shorts, tank tops, even a jacket when it got cold. Post-time skip, she swapped practicality for bikini tops, miniskirts, and heels that defied physics. Robin followed suit, trading her cowboy hats and heavy coats for plunging necklines and thigh-high slits. The changes weren't just stylistic, they amplified their proportions dramatically. Waists shrank, curves expanded, and camera angles got noticeably lower. This wasn't subtle evolution, it was a full pivot toward fan service. The big question is whether this came from Oda or the anime team. Early manga chapters post-time skip did show Nami and Robin with more revealing outfits, but the anime exaggerated it further, adding jiggle physics, tighter fabric, and extra skin exposure. Some argue Oda's art style naturally leaned this way over time, pointing to Boa Hancock's introduction, pre-time skip, as proof. Others claim the anime studio capitalized on the trend, making the designs more extreme than necessary. Boa's case is interesting because she was always designed as fan service. Her whole character revolves around seduction. But Nami and Robin had different roles. Nami was the savvy strategist, Robin was the intellectual historian. Does it hurt the story? Not directly. Nami and Robin still get great moments, but it does create tonal whiplash when Nami is emotional while the camera lingers on her chest. The real issue might be consistency. Why do male characters get varied designs? Franky's bulky, Usopp's toned, Brooke's skeletal, while female designs converge on one hyper-feminized ideal. It makes you wonder if this was purely an artistic choice or a concession to market trends. These controversies point to a bigger question about Oda's priorities, because whether you love or hate these designs, they weren't accidents. Every change reflects a deliberate choice about how One Piece presents its world. Let's talk about what these shifts say about Oda's evolving vision for the series as a whole. Post-time skip, One Piece didn't just change characters, it changed its entire visual language. Look at Dressrosa's vibrant colours or Wano's inkwash aesthetics. Oda was clearly pushing toward grander, more stylised worlds. That shift explains some redesigns. Law's layered fur coat and Smoker's tactical vest fit perfectly into these denser landscapes. But then you get Killer's bizarre elongated neck or Beige's exaggerated boxy silhouette, and it raises questions. Was Oda prioritising spectacle over cohesion? The stakes in the New World demanded heavier visual impact. Characters like Kaido and Big Mom needed to feel larger than life, so Oda leaned into exaggerated proportions. That worked for villains. Their absurd sizes made them imposing, but when applied to main characters, it sometimes backfired. Franky's bulk clashes with the Straw Hat's mobility, and Nami's proportions strain credibility, yet Oda clearly cares about balance. Look at Zoro. His scars and tighter outfits subtly convey growth without losing his core aesthetic. Chopper's redesign is the weirdest case study. His base form got cuter, rounder face, brighter eyes, while his heavy point became bulkier. It's like Oda wanted to keep the crew's mascot appeal. The anime adaptation complicated things further. Oda's manga panels control how extreme the angles are, but the anime often amplifies chest sizes or tightens outfits beyond the source material. That blurring of intent makes it hard to judge what's truly Oda's vision versus studio influence. Still, the overall trend is clear. Post-time skip designs embrace exaggeration, whether it's anatomy, costumes, or expressions. Is this progression natural? For world building, yes. Bigger threats justify flashier visuals, but when main characters lose recognizability or tonal consistency suffers, it feels less like evolution and more like overcorrection. Maybe that's inevitable in a series running this long. Oda's trying to keep things fresh while satisfying both new readers and veterans, but freshness risks alienating fans who loved the original aesthetic. And that brings us to the heart of this debate. These redesign controversies reveal something deeper. One Piece has been evolving for over 25 years, and not every change will land perfectly. The Robin skin tone debates, Franky's bulk, the fan service spikes, they're all symptoms of a series balancing its iconic roots with modern expectations. Some choices age better than others, but each spark discussions that prove how invested we are in this world. So what's your take? Was there a redesign that really rubbed you the wrong way? Drop it in the comments. Love them or hate them, these changes keep the conversation alive. And I think that's what makes this fandom special.